So let's talk about the videos. What I'm going to show you, in part, Anthony, we got from MSP, and in part, you put one on, right? So this is a compilation, folks, of videos. Recall, here's the videos that we have in this case. One, we have from Schurr's dash cam. Two, body camera. Three, the front seat passenger of Patrick's car. Cell phone. Four, we have a Ring video from across the street. So what Anthony Cairo, when we got this from MSP, they synchronized two of those three, and I'll show you which ones when they pop up on the board. And now Anthony, at our request, did a great job and synchronized the third. Here's what I want to know basically from you all. It's about 3 minutes. Do you want me to play the whole thing through first? Because I'm going to stop it and explain some things. But if you all want the whole thing, or we could just have you, we'll email it to you if you want. What do you all want?
Why don't you go ahead and stop it and do
All right.
your work?
Peter, I'm sorry. Sorry that you have to see this. Peter has never seen this, so you know. Anthony, as we can tell, this is the body camera. So Schurr has this on his body. Sorry about it. Thank you. Can you all hear me? All right. Go ahead, Anthony. Now, what you're going to find out, folks, this is, stop right there, please. This is the on-dash camera, right? The one that you all are pretty familiar with. It's right in the middle of the dash. You can see Schurr is now turning around, and you're going to notice you hear no sound. And the reason why is because he didn't have his lights and sirens on. Translation, if he knew that this was an illegal license plate and had any other reason, you all know he'd flick the lights and or sirens on both. He didn't. That's why there's no sound. Translation, he was just going to go and follow him like Ben Crump told you. Racial profiling 101. A couple of brothers driving in Grand Rapids at 8:11 a.m. 8:11 a.m. on a Monday morning. Please don't forget this. Going through a residential community. Go. Stop. That's Schurr's computer, right? Now, why would that be redacted? Because it would tell us what really happened. We would know what they were trying to do, what they were going, and so forth. And you'll see, even after they're behind Patrick's vehicle, and just so you all, Patrick bought this car, y'all. He bought this months before. This was Patrick's car. What I'll be able to tell you about in a few months is, do we have the full license plate? What was it? Did he do the right thing with the Secretary of State? But without question, as Peter would confirm, this was Patrick's car. He bought it used as is about 3 months before, but redacted. And this will be really important information, that computer later on, because that what tells you if he's looking for Patrick. He doesn't know Patrick from anybody on that day. Go.
It could have been any citizen out there, any black citizen that he stopped for driving while black. Unfortunately, it happened to be Peter's son, Patrick Lyoya.
Anthony? So, stop. There's a stop sign that we're passing. I'll tell you, he ran it. No lights, no sirens. You can't. Go ahead. You can't even see Peter's car yet, or Patrick's car yet. Stop. So the car further down the street now, right, is Patrick. Translation, the cop officer was speeding without lights, without sirens, breaking the law again to catch up to somebody who you all see is doing nothing wrong but going down the street and now making another right-hand turn. Go, please. Now he turns the corner. Patrick's doing nothing wrong. Stop. Now you can hear the audio. Why? He just flicked the lights on. He just turned the lights on. That's why you now have sound. All that stuff beforehand, you saw Patrick did nothing wrong. when he saw the cop coming up fast behind him, look what he did. He pulled over. He didn't lead him on a chase. He pulled over, and now we're going to see the interaction, and a lot's been said about it. But what you're going to see, folks, is this. Who initiated all of this? And it was Schurr. Who was in control of Schurr to use his techniques of what we call de-escalation? And it really makes me angry when people laugh at that term. For years, cops have been able to escalate all they want to get away with it. That's no longer the case because the law says otherwise.
Attorney Johnson.
Sir.
You know, I want to point out it's so important what Attorney Johnson is demonstrating for you visually, because in this driving while black lawsuit that we're filing today for $100 million is the fact that it's pretextual. Everything is pretextual. Please remember that term. As Attorney Johnson said, he flicks on the light for the first time. The whole sequence of him coming the opposite way, seeing a young black man, then making the U-turn, he is coming up with a pretextual reason to stop this black driver, and that is driving while black. And so then Johnson is being the great lawyer he is. He's being technical. He's breaking down every aspect for you legally while we are going to be successful in this lawsuit. But just know, speaking in layman's terms for society, it is driving while black, and you have to see it for yourself. And that's why we're showing this video. So thank you so much, Vin, for breaking it down point by point.
Now that you hear the video, excuse me, the audio, I'm going to do something unique for me. I'm going to shut up for a minute, and I'm going to take it all the way until Schurr gets out of the car because Patrick is out of the car. But I want to give you a tip. Listen to what Schurr's doing. The roads, he used Griggs and something. Commissioner Womack would be able to give me the other side street. But Griggs and something are the roadways. And he's starting to talk to his dispatch about the license plate. But he doesn't finish it because there's only 10 seconds. And that's when Patrick gets out of the car. And last time I knew, by the way, there's no law that says you can't get out of your car. Proper police training, and I'll give Schurr credit for this, they'd rather have him in the car. Why? It's called control. If you're in the car, unless you're driving away, it's less dangerous for the officer. So at least that part he did right. It's everything else he did pretty much after that. But listen to what he says, because he never gets an answer about the license plate or anything in the car. And what we can't see, because they've hidden the computer, is what, if anything, has come up in those 10 seconds on the computer. All I can tell you is my computer don't work that fast. Maybe yours do. But you get to use your own common sense about what information he had about this license plate. Go. And I'm going to stop it when he tells him to get back in the car.
Nelson, North of Griggs, Everton, Hall, 9367, Dan Alton. Hey, stay in the car!
Stop. He says, damn it, because he sees him getting out of the car, right? But you can hear he gave the address, and he started talking in numbers, which we'll find out in the lawsuit, and I'll share with you what it means. But we have no information about this tag, this license plate. Zero.
It's all pretext.
Go. Thank you.
Stay in the car! Stay in the car! Get in the car! Dude, I'm stopping you. You have a license? Do you have a license? I'm stopping you. Do you have a license? Do you have a driver's license? Do you speak English?
Stop. Do you speak English? I mean, sorry, folks. Do you speak English? Everything becomes important in a lawsuit. One of the things that's going to be really important is when you hear about what a great guy Schurr was, do you talk to people like this? That is so degrading and disrespectful. What's going to happen now, Patrick is going to say, what did I do? He's actually said it twice. He definitely has a heavy accent, but yes, he can speak English. It's not his first language, which was clear. So he asked him for his license. Go ahead, and then stop right after the license.
Can I see your license? plate doesn't belong on this car.
Stop. That's at least the fourth time Patrick asked him, what did I do wrong? Now he comes up with a plate. Now, again, I don't have that answer for you. I wish I did. But all I can tell you is in the official Michigan State Police report, who was hired to do an investigation into this, there's no conclusion whatsoever that this was the wrong plate.
And Attorney Johnson, what is very clear from the video is Patrick has no weapon
Unarmed.
whatsoever. His pants are falling down off him. You can see his underwear. No weapon whatsoever.
Go ahead.
Do you have a license or no? Do you have a driver's license?
Yes.
Where is it at?
It's in the back.
Get it for me.
What happened?
The plate does not belong on this car.
Get it for me. Sir, would you please get it for me? Get it for me.
No. Stop.
Stop.
Put your hands
Stop.
up.
Now, what was he doing? He shut the door. He didn't run. He was walking around the front of his car. Now, some of you say, well, he's trying to get away. Really? No, he was walking to get out of the street, probably to go on the passenger side of the car. We won't know. He's not here to defend himself. But the officer initiated physical contact by grabbing him with two hands from behind, spinning him around and trying to handcuff him for a license plate. So here's what our experts will absolutely prove at the time of our civil trial. Right here, you have what Schurr will certainly call a non-compliant driver. He didn't get back in the car when I asked him to. He was delaying on his driver's license. Then he shut the door. He's walking away from me. Schurr now knows physical confrontation. Now, some of you think it's okay. That's sad to me. That's not what the law provides. The law provides a police officer is absolutely required to use as little force as possible. It's called a use of force continuum, called totality of circumstance. We could do it all day. If you don't have to put your hands on, then don't. And what our experts will talk about at this very moment, if not even before, is that Officer Schurr out, there's a passenger in the car. What does this training say about a passenger in the car? They'll all say, he might have a gun. Yeah, he might have a gun. So why would you start a physical confrontation with somebody that you now know and believe not to be armed when you got somebody else in the car? You're exposing yourself to danger. So he is defying his training. Our experts will prove right here that what he should have done is radio, which he's about to do in about 20 seconds when they start running. Give me back up right now. Go back to his car. You're going to hear me all day talk about distance, time. When he gives himself distance from my client, from the front seat passenger, everything else, he is safer. He, the officer, is safer. And by the way, so are they as it relates to him putting his hands on. You retreat, you use your car as a barrier, if you will, and then you wait for backup. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's daylight. You have the car. You have the front seat passenger. Keys are still in it. You don't need to engage. That's what de-escalation is all about. Go. Sorry, Ben.
And one crucial point, as we cite in the lawsuit, 79 complaints of excessive use of force in Grand Rapids. What's significant about that? Doesn't this seem quite excessive when you start saying this is a simple traffic stop? This is not how traffic stops go with people who are not disproportionately confronted by police. Black people oftentimes have the most use of force used against them. And when we look at those complaints, you see over and over again, Attorney Johnson, that when black people complain about the police used excessive force against me, they are somehow seen as irrelevant and not found to have credibility. And when we do that over and over again, it leads to what happens at the conclusion of this video. And it's just important that we try to draw your attention to all the ways this could have been prevented by the police officer who was trained to deal with people in traffic stops who don't follow every order. It happens every day. They don't end up with a bullet in the back of their head.
Under the law, so that you all know, I hear this all the time. Well, he ran away, or he tried to get away, or he resisted, therefore he got what he deserved, which, by the way, violates federal law. Every single witness that we call, including Schurr, at the time of this civil trial, will testify, just like they did in Atlanta when I was down in Atlanta in trial. When I call them and ask them, you were trained that you can never use excessive force. Yes, Johnson, that's true. Excessive force is illegal no matter what that person's doing. Yes, Johnson, that's true. So even if jurors or anybody out there think you get what you deserve if you run away, that's not true and you weren't trained away. Yes, Johnson, that's true. So you don't get what you deserve when you run away. That's not the law. Go, please. Stop. Okay, 1950, we got a runner. Foot pursuit is now underway. That's what he called in, right? So what you just saw right there is he was trying to handcuff Patrick for what? Patrick clearly didn't want to be handcuffed, and then he did run around the back of the car. Now, all I know is Patrick, as you'll see, is barefoot. He's got his pants falling down his rear end. So I don't know who anybody else wants to, and by the way, in case you didn't know, former Officer Schurr was like the national champion in like the decathlon, okay? So talk about a superior athlete. This wasn't a close call. This was no race. So again, all these things get taken into consideration, but what you're gonna see and what you saw right there is you did not hear Patrick threaten the officer once. You did not see Patrick brandish, pull out a weapon of any kind. What you saw him doing is trying to just keep free of this officer's hands who's trying to hit him and take control of him, okay? We call it passive resistance.
And that is such a vital point, because he tries to convince the public, I had to shoot this young man in the back of his head because I fear for my life. The whole time, Patrick is trying to get away from him. I never understand why the most dangerous thing to police officers are black people running away from them. But yet again, they have a propensity to use unnecessary, excessive, deadly force with young black people who are trying to run away from them. And they say, oh, it's because I fear for my life. Well, if you just call for backup, Patrick isn't going to get very far.
He's got the passenger in the front seat of the very car that's either still running or there with a key in it. If Patrick wants to run barefoot in the middle of the rain at 8:11 on a Monday in a neighborhood
with his pants falling down,
he ain't getting very far, y'all. Go. Thank you.
Stop! Okay. Stop! Stop! Okay. Get your hands behind your back.
Watch this. Watch the knee. Doesn't.
it's going to come back.
Okay, stop. The reason why you're hearing reverberation now. So, on dash camera, body camera clearly being obstructed by, that's Patrick's sweater, you've seen. And now we've added, thank you Anthony Cairo, through the magic of the interweb, added the cell phone from the passenger. That's when it started. So the reverberation that you're hearing is because it's almost impossible to sync the audio up perfectly, but you're going to be seeing basically the same thing. So I just wanted you to know.
And we'll get you all this video.
Correct.
You all will have all this video.
Go ahead, Anthony, thank you. Okay, stop. What you're going to see in this sequence, so they've been on the ground now once, okay? So what a lot of people don't know is once the officer puts his hand on you, if he's too tired, like Schurr claims, and he was so afraid of what? But if that's what he was, you can let him go here and create distance and space to take a break, to wait for backup. And he can do what he wants. But what I want you folks to pay attention to here is where is Patrick doing anything to hurt Schurr until Schurr tries to take him on the ground? Okay? He's standing here with him, not even trying to get out of the hold. What you're going to see is when they get past the sidewalk, Schurr's going to start kicking him again. On the other video that we have, you'd be able to see how Schurr just drilled him about 4 or 5 times with his knee and his hand and head on his head. But at this point, what you're going to see is he's standing there until Schurr kicks him again at his legs to try to take him down to the ground. Then you're going to see Patrick resist.
And he could have created distance easily.
The whole time.
And as my law partner, our co-counsel, Chris O'Neill, who's a former police officer, knows, every expert from their side and our side is going to say, create distance. You don't go hands-on and try to tase anybody. You create distance so you can have not only safety for yourself, but safety for the citizen. At this point, Patrick is a citizen who has every constitutional right that you or I have. I mean, and that officer cannot treat him as if he's not a citizen. He has to give him his constitutional rights as well.
Good.
Stop. Resisting.
There's the kick. I'm not resisting. Stop. All right, now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Do you all want to ask me questions about tasers? Okay? We have some still photographs I'm going to show you later. And what you need to know about tasers, it hasn't been deployed yet. Remember, you get 2 deployments. You're going to hear it. It's coming up. And you're going to always hear how Patrick was trying to take the taser away. That's what they kept saying. You will never hear those words out of Schurr's mouth the whole time. Stop touching the taser. Stop touching the taser, as opposed to stop trying to take it away from me. What you're going to see Patrick do is he's going to deflect it because he knows that it's being pointed at him and it's going to hurt. This is a huge violation by Officer Schurr, former officer. Why? Tasers I told you about, they come out 2 probes, guys. 2. But the distance need to be inches apart in order to make it neuromuscular incapacitations, what they call knock you down, where you go down in a heap because your muscles literally freeze and you fall basically straight down to the ground. They tell you never to do taser if you can help it, close up, because why? And I know, Chris O'Neill, you know this. Number 1, once you have the taser in your hand, you only have one hand to try to work with the suspect. So you're now, and he's got 2. Number 2, you're now having to think about and worry about the suspect taking the taser out of my hand and using it against me. Why? Because they are trained not to get so close, especially when they're trying to use the taser. So this is a gross deviation by Schurr of his training.
And it's common sense. If you point something close at me, my natural reaction is going to try to move it away from me.
And what you'll see is Patrick never has his hand on the handle trying to get it out of Schurr's hand. He simply got his hand on the end trying to put it away from him so he doesn't get tased. Go. Stop. You can hear the sound. That's tasing number 1. That means there's only 1 more to go. And again, Schurr's trained on that. He knows that. Go. Stop. Let go of the taser. Not like, don't you take that from me. Let go of the taser. He's literally trying to keep it away from his body. But notice, Schurr's on top of him, and the taser gets pointed to the ground. That's going to become very important in a minute. Go.
No, he good. Like, you can talk to him, bro.
Okay. Did you hear it? In the other video, which I could show you, I wish we had more time, you hear a pop. And a lot of people that hear that other video without being synced, it sounds like a gunshot. What happened was the taser, as I'll show you in our photographs in a minute, the second time that the taser was deployed, trigger pulled. By who? By Schurr. He was the only one with his finger on the trigger. It shot straight down into the ground. But you hear a popping sound because the doors apparently didn't open because the doors were blocked by the wet ground because it was pointed and it was actually in the mud and dirt. I told you about that Axon investigation, the people that make this. I'll show you these photographs. The second time, that's why their determination, they told the Michigan State Police, they said, Schurr tried to tase Patrick twice. That just happened right there. Schurr now knows by his training, by the way, that it doesn't work anymore. And here's what else the Axon people told the Michigan State Police, that because it was shoved in the dirt, it short-circuited. And what that means is it was absolutely incapable of working. Now, Schurr may not have known that, you say. Okay, fine. But he still knew that he tried to deploy it twice. He's 0 for 2, and therefore the only thing that's even possible is the stun capability, which therefore is a lesser, where you go up to the person like I showed you. So there's your second deployment. Go. Okay, now, this, of course, is the cell phone for the passenger. It's not the best.
Like, he good, bro. Like, can you talk to him like good? Like, can you, yeah. Stop grabbing him like that.
It's the passenger.
No, he's good like for real. You hit him too.
You hit him too. Let go
No,
of
he
the
ain't
taser.
got no taser.
Stop. So the passenger saying, he don't got no taser. But you still hear Schurr saying, let go of the taser. But again, you never hear him say anything about trying to take it from him.
And you'll have this video. You'll get to see very objectively, he doesn't have the taser. We've showed you in previous press conferences. You have those videos. You'll get to see it again today when we release this.
Go ahead. Okay, stop. Thank you. So now we know that the second taser is gone, deployment's gone off. Now Patrick is face down on the ground. You can see Schurr's hand underneath him, and you now know, okay, he's right-handed. Schurr was using his right hand on the taser. He's reaching back for his gun. So some people out there will say he took the taser away. You can't see what he did. And what he did was he knew the taser was basically useless. And sadly and unfortunately and contrary to his training, he now pulls with his right hand his firearm, and you all know what happened after that. But notice Patrick is face down, and I'll tell you why that's important in a second. Go.
Now he's worried about the passenger. You hear the experts talk about why that's so dangerous. He didn't know
It's
who.
back to the passenger.
Yeah, he didn't know who was in this car. Everything he did was not only violate policy, but he put himself in danger that he was trained not to do.
So when he then says, let go of the taser, clearly says that. Now, did he have the taser or not? I can't see it. I don't know. But here's the kicker, and here's what our experts will testify to at the time of trial. With Patrick being face down on the ground, even if he's trying to get up, and the taser, even if Patrick had it, remember he has no training, but does he know how to do it? It wouldn't have worked anyway, and Schurr knows it. Schurr had to, at the very least, push him down, create distance and space, and then if he pulled out his, the service weapon, right, Chris? His gun, okay? He would have been able to lawfully to pull out his gun at that point, and if Patrick remained on the ground, if Patrick had his back to him, he can't fire. Tennessee versus Garner. You can, it's a U.S. Supreme Court case. You cannot shoot a fleeing felon. That even assumes that he's a felon, but we'll fight about that with the lawyers. But a fleeing felon, you can't shoot somebody in the back simply because they're running away. He would not be able to shoot. And what he would then be able to do is do something that he'd violated training twice, the taser. Notice you never heard taser, taser, taser. You've all seen these stories. They got to warn. Policy, they're trained to use to warn for taser, and there's a good reason for that. Under federal law, okay, you have to give someone a warning if feasible, if possible, which clearly was possible here, before you shoot them dead. So in this case, not only is our client still on the ground, he's not pointing the taser at Schurr when Schurr, blows his head off. Sorry, Peter. Excessive force. And for him, Schurr, to claim that he was in reasonable fear of somebody who's on the ground, even if they have a taser that doesn't work, is a complete lie. Finish, please.
You know, and it's very, we're trying to be respectful, but he knows we have to make the case. That's the only way his family has a chance at justice. A traffic stop, you should not be sentenced to death for a traffic stop. At the worst, this was a tag violation. Why did this officer feel he had to engage with this type of force for a tag violation? And I submit to you a pretextual tag violation. Remember, I keep saying pretext because part of our lawsuit talks about Monell. They have this propensity to use the most force, not just excessive force. I think it's the most force against black people that violates all of the training. I can't even imagine how many violations the experts are going to count up that former Officer Schurr perpetrated. I mean, this was so unnecessary. I mean, it is so unnecessary that Patrick Lyoya was shot in the back of the head by former Officer Schurr. And the reason we have to file this driving while black lawsuit is not just to get justice for Patrick's family, but what Attorney Johnson and I are trying to do is prevent the next black person from dying for driving while black. This, hopefully, will be the driving while black lawsuit that will set a precedent that will hopefully instruct courts in the future that we have to deal with this, but more importantly, hopefully it will instruct police officers to not do this for a simple traffic violation just because the person is black. And you say, why do we keep making a point of him being a black person? Because we don't see them shoot white people in the back of the head for traffic stops. In fact, we see white citizens do far worse and they still won't get shot in the back of the head. But it happens far too common with black people in America. And that's why we're filing this driving while black lawsuit today.
Under federal law, deadly force, like pulling a trigger of a firearm, is by absolute law, the last resort possible. Means there couldn't be anything else that the officer could have done but shoot. Clearly not the case. And I will say, Mr. Crump may not know this, for those of us that saw recently the individual who was harassing folks down at the Jewish temple in Bloomfield Hills, when the cops came over and gave him the high five and gave him the sign, I've asked everybody, tell me what would have happened had that man been black. And had that black man been threatening white people as opposed to Jewish people, an Arabic man threatening Jewish people. Very interesting. Finish, please, Anthony.
Get back! 1915. I'll just involved in shooting. Nelson Griggs.
Now that's the end of it. Why? Why is that the end of what I had? You don't think it would be important to find out what happened over the next 15 minutes to a half hour that's got to be on tape? Okay? What's really important in civil and criminal cases is what somebody who's involved says afterwards. You didn't hear him say, he said, officer involved shooting. I've been involved in a shooting. The guy was pointing a taser at me. The guy was threatening me. You heard nothing. Interesting, because the first words out of somebody's mouth, if somebody's doing something to you where you feel threatened for your life, you're going to say, the guy was trying to kill me. I had no choice. Something. But officer involved shooting. Gunshot wound, sorry, back right of the head. And what you're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen, is you can't name another police case. And you all know I do this stuff and have been doing it for almost 36 years. This guy probably even longer than me all across the United States. You're not going to be able to find where an officer shot somebody in the back of the head at point blank range without that person having a gun.
And I will say this, and thank you, Attorney Johnson. Before we sit down, because I think as they ask questions, they may want to revisit the video. You all, we have to draw emphasis to why this lawsuit is important. Not just in Grand Rapids, not just in Michigan, but it's important because you have a dozen traffic stops that if we call names, hashtags, you would know them because black people end up dead as a result. Terrence Crutcher, Oklahoma, walking away with his hands up, shot in the back. You know, Anthony Hill, Columbus, Ohio. I mean, it's repeatedly these traffic stops end up deadly for black people. And so we're filing this $100 million driving while black lawsuit so his son life won't be in vain. But more importantly, we want it to be a deterrent for the next officer who pulls a black motorist somewhere right now in America not to use excessive force. Ben, I guarantee you, there's somewhere in America right now, it's going to happen today. A police officer is going to pull over a black motorist. And if that motorist in any way questions, why are you profiling me? It could end up like Patrick. Because oftentimes when people, not just black people, when you feel you're being unreasonably detained, you feel as an American citizen, you can question the police. You can question, why are you violating my constitutional rights? That's what Patrick was doing. How many, three times, man? What did I do? And the officer should be able to de-escalate the situation by talking with the citizen. But that is not what happens oftentimes when it's black citizens. We do the most. It's not just excessive, it's the most. What is the most? Getting a bullet to the back of your head.
I'm going to be very quick in these photos because we reviewed this, but Anthony, start with 5632. We will make these accessible to everybody. This is now during the first tasing event, 5632, and you can see this is when Schurr, how close he is. So he's so close, he's not going to get the spread of his probes, right? This is a violation of his training. And watch what happens. Go ahead to 5638, please. Patrick, look, 42, please. He has his hand on the front of this. He's not trying to take this away. He's trying to block it. 5672. That's Schurr's hand on the trigger, clearly in control of the gun, with Patrick trying to, if you will, push it out of, notice his body's back so that he's not getting tased.
Look at the barefoot. He's not going very far.
5674, same thing. 5756. Okay. Schurr, the taser's upside down. Patrick, if you will, trying to push it and move it. You never, go one more. 5761. Schurr in control, the gun, has his finger, Patrick on the side, and you never once hear Schurr at any time during that say, stop trying to take the gun from me. And any of you have ever seen these videos, sadly as much as Ben and I have, okay? One of the very things you always hear when somebody tries to take a weapon away from the police officer, they repeat it over and over again. Stop trying to take my weapon. Weapon. He's trying to take my weapon.
Yep.
He does that for a reason, or she, okay? Because it can, depending on the circumstances, I'm not saying that here, it could certainly lead to other things and other things to discuss. Here's the second part. Go to, I don't have numbers on this, Anthony, this is just 1 and 2. All right, I told you that the taser on deployment number 2, that Axon, not Johnson, Axon, the people that made it, inspected and told the Michigan State Police that the second time it was deployed, this is the end of it. That's an evidence sticker, number 5. Go ahead, look all the dirt. And what Axon talks about is this was completely caked with dirt, and the probes did not come out of the doors, and that the doors were stuck with mud and stuff from the ground. Translation, the conclusion was, and the video shows, that when Schurr deployed it, and again, Schurr did it because he knew what that meant. He actually deployed it when the front end of the gun, the muzzle, if you will, was in the ground, and therefore shorted out this taser, and it would never have deployed again, and he knew it. And our experts, by the way, our police misconduct experts, will all testify that Schurr's training would have told him that doesn't going to work again, and therefore it's not going to be a deadly weapon against him. It's not like a gun-to-gun situation. So those photos, if you want them, will be made.